Welcome to CVR English, and this is Software View. Recruiting is one of the booming industry. For someone it is life-changing, and for someone it is life-settling. Recruitment, one famous entrepreneur name that is being heard nowadays is Sarath Yandrapalli. Having decades of experience in IT, then moved into a startup, knocking T-Hub, established it and grown the startup into a would-be $1 million company. Let's know the inspiring journey of Mr. Sarath Yandrapalli. Also, let us know how he made the difficult task of recruiting into a passionate and fruitful business. Mr. Sarath Babu, very happy to see you, sir.
Hi, thanks for this opportunity.
Sir, can you tell about yourself first, sir? Your journey and how did you end up in a startup?
Yeah.
All that.
So basically, I'm an engineering leader. I have 25 years of experience in IT industry. And prior to doing this startup, I was working as a head of delivery in one of the top 6 IT services company. Of course, prior to that, I was working as a director of delivery in Co.ai and Kony Labs. And predominantly, my experience is with Wipro Technologies. I was with Wipro for 8 years or so. I worked for both product and service companies, and I worked both India and abroad. In my leadership roles, I got an opportunity to deliver enterprise grade products and projects across various technology and functional domains. And by academics, I am a BTech computer science guy from Andhra University. I am more of an engineering leader than a typical recruitment background or any HR background. So this is little brief about my background, and Hiring Hood is basically a startup that we started from last 3 years, and I'm proud to say that we are incubated out of T-Hub as a part of their T-Angel cohort 5 incubation program, where we got a lot of support and mentorship and guidance from them. In fact, there are around 675 companies which applied for this cohort, and we ended up being on the top 13. They selected top 2% of the startups for this program, and we got into T-Hub like that. This is the journey just started there. But the interesting part is that when we came up with this concept of accelerated hiring, we presented this to TSIC, and we also got the T-Spark award from them for the best innovation company.
Oh.
And the other accolades that we have is that last year we won second place out of 10,000 plus startups which participated in an event called International Startup Foundation that happens every year in Bangalore. So and also I'm happy to share a good news that we got funded. We closed our seed round of funding. We raised $500,000 through seed round in the month of January 2024. Yeah.
I think you are saying about accelerating hiring, but when you're telling about yourself, everything seems to be accelerating. Right from startup, within 3 years, you won so many awards.
Yeah.
But basically, what exactly is this term, accelerating hiring, and how it is different from others?
See, basically what happens is that recruitment is of two types. One is the proactive hiring, other one is the reactive hiring. Proactive hiring is nothing but typically employers have historical data. Basis that they come up with a projection that we will be hiring so many resources in certain timeline, preferably in a 1 year's timeline. So and in that situation, they are typically not under time pressure to hire people, because they're based on historical data and futuristic projections they are doing. Reactive hiring is like, for example, in an IT service company, the sales team was successful, and all of a sudden they got an account, a new customer, which will actually push the delivery teams to ramp up teams faster. So that's one of the reactive hiring situation.
Okay.
The second thing is that in the existing account itself, the customer says, I am happy with your services, I want to give another project to you. That actually pushes them to have a reactive hiring. Third is an attrition case. Someone resigned and you have to fulfill that position faster, or else you'll have billing loss. So all these reactive hiring, which actually pushes you to hire people faster, is nothing but an accelerated hiring need that actually comes from the top down, and that is where most of the engineering leaders and delivery leaders typically all the side of the business, where all the CXOs and all these people who are forced to deliver certain products and projects on time ended up going under pressure, because there's all of a sudden this accelerated hiring demand has come, and because of that they undergo tremendous pressure in terms of their billing, which typically impacts their revenues. They also have impact on their CSAT ratings, customer satisfaction ratings. Okay. So because of all this, accelerated hiring becomes paramount importance for it. That's the reason we call it as an accelerated hiring need.
So is this a term that you have discovered, or was it there before?
I wouldn't say that I discovered. So mostly, I would say that we as a company, when we did workshops and all, it emerged as one of the phrase, but not typically the people are popular about proactive and reactive hiring. But basis that when I looked at the problem, then I actually came up with this phrase of accelerated hiring demand, because see, most of the leaders in the recruitment industry typically understand the supply side of the problems and the solutions. But most of the people, though they are part of the recruitment industry, don't understand the demand side of the problems and the solutions that they have. So me coming from an engineering background, and mostly I worked on my career on the demand side. And that's the reason actually I understand what actually pushes them to have an accelerated hiring demand, and why is it of paramount importance for businesses, and it will be surprising to know one data point that India alone, in IT industry alone, loses more than $500 million of revenue, not because companies were not able to accelerate hiring and hire people on demand. So that is of so much of importance. It literally we lose billions of dollars if you sum up and summarize all the demands across various industries. It's in multi-billion dollar, where because of not having certain solutions in the market, we end up losing a lot of money. India as an entity, we lose a lot of money. So that's the reason we wanted to have, and it's a deep problem, and that's the reason we would like to have a solution for this accelerated hiring problem.
Sir, as a common man, recruitment means we do see so many platforms. Like one is the web portal, which probably every college pass out will be posting their resume. Another thing is like domestic recruitment, US IT recruitment, and so many in every street in Hyderabad you will be finding one or the other. In how is your accelerated hiring is different from any of that, and why anyone should choose you?
That's an interesting question. Definitely. See, primarily what happens is that there are three key stakeholders in any recruitment assembly line. The first one are the recruitment, internal recruitment teams. So typically what happens is that any requirement comes in, the first person, go-to person will be the internal recruitment teams. They are one of the stakeholders. And the second are the job boards, and the third one is a recruitment agency. The problem with all these three stakeholders is that the first internal recruitment team is small in size. Because of that, they mostly ended up choosing vendors where they would like to bank on to have an accelerated hiring or a volume. They can't do volume hiring because their team size are so small. And other challenge is that since the requirement comes in different bursts, they can't have a larger teams to solve these problems. So they can't do an accelerated hiring. And the second one are the job boards. Job boards like Naukri, Monster and all, typically their business models are not oriented towards accelerated hiring. Their business model is mostly towards, they have a database of profiles, you pay a subscription to us, and you need to find the needle in the haystack all by yourself. So they can't really help you in doing end-to-end recruitment. They say that uh, whether you get a candidate or not, but you have to pay the fee upfront to us. I don't really care whether you need them now or later or in an accelerated manner. So that stakeholder is not of much use. The third entities are these typical recruitment agencies. See, there are bigger recruitment agencies. Typically, you might have a perception that they can help you because there are larger recruitment companies with size 300, 600 and 1000 recruiters on their payroll. But the problem with them is they also have equal number of customers on the other side. Even if you unpanel 1,000 recruiters recruitment agency in your company, on the other side you end up having 1,000 customers, hardly they will be able to allocate 2-3 recruiters for you. But you want hundreds of recruiters working on your immediate needs, the accelerated needs. Those many people should actually exert that thrust onto into the pool, job seeker pools, and get you that kind of a pool. That is not possible in the current models. So that's exactly the reason why we ended up building this accelerated hiring platform called Hiring Hood, wherein typically on a demand side, when employers want to hire people faster, and of course they are ready to pay a little premium, they come to us. We create something called a contest on our platform. That's on the demand side. On the supply side, we have aggregated more than 500 plus recruitment vendors throughout Pan India, and they are given a mandate to source either immediate joiners or someone who can join in less than 30-day notice period only, which essentially means that we are taking a hot demand on one side, hot supply on the other side, and we use technology and tools to do the matchmaking happens. And whenever there is an onboarding happens, the employer pays us and we take our platform fee and we pass on the remaining to them. So why should they come to us is basically when they have this accelerated hiring demand, which their teams are internally struggling to fulfill those positions. And since ours is an ever-growing network of these recruitment vendors, so at any point of time, we will have bigger catchment than any other existing vendor that you have on your empanelment list.
Okay. So generally recruitment agencies means you will be having some team structure. Like if we talk about any overseas recruitment, bench seals, one team is there, recruiting another team will be there. And as you said, there will be some matchmaking and all that. What is the process that you follow, and how do you hire your employees for accelerated hiring? Do you follow the same accelerated hiring over there also?
Yeah, we do. We are no exception because we are also interestingly a technology product company. So though we are into recruitment space, like just to give an analogy, Ola and Uber are into they are into transport domain, but they are a tech company.
Okay.
Make My Trip is into aviation domain, but they are a tech company.
Yes.
Similar to that, we are into recruitment domain, but we are a technology product company. And our needs are not so different from any other technology companies. We also definitely go through the same process of churn and all, but since we understand this space better, and our hiring cycles, internal team hiring cycles are faster, because we don't hesitate to engage the bigger network base that we have to have an accelerated hiring. So and we typically have an interesting way of hiring people, because we want to have the best competent people, because it's a complex platform that we are building. So we have something called a case studies. We typically don't put them through regular coding test and MCQ, multiple choice questions and all. We actually give them real world scenarios as per their role and domain specific knowledge that they have, and basis that they should actually come up with the solutions, and then basis that we actually hire them. So and that's how we actually get the best quality, and the acceleration we get is because of the bigger recruitment base we have, a recruitment vendor base that we have.
Sir, how do you approach the client, and how would you get the need of the client, and how the client will understand you that you are the only person who can do this accelerated hiring?
See, honestly, typically in the initial stages, we were obviously we were actually knocking some doors of the known network and all. Hardly, I would say I got some four or five opportunities like that. But most of the time, it's either people heard through digital way that a solution like this exists, or like the other 30 plus customers that we have are actually referred by the existing customers only.
Okay.
So they actually why how will they come to know is that it's pretty simple. One thing is that the demand originates from our customers. So someone says that I wanted to build this application because I foresee that it can give us so much of revenue, and I want someone to build this application. And typically that is actually cascaded down to so many IT service companies who says that we would like to do that. But the differentiating factor typically all these employers can offer when they wanted to build application is because the solutions from across different competitors remains the same, and the billing rates are more or less here and as the same. But whoever can line up the teams faster is the one who typically gets the project faster.
Okay.
So that's the reason the demand originates from there, and that situations actually forces them to, because they are under pressure to deliver, they have to ramp up them teams faster. So that will push them to actually look out for solutions, calling their colleagues, I am under pressure to ramp up teams, can you help me? So that's where our word of mouth, that our solution actually reached out, and that's how Touchwood, without not too much of, because we are a startup, we can't have larger sales team. So many employers flocked to us, and I was really surprised the kind of response that we have, because I never imagined that some billion-dollar companies, in fact there are companies which are 175-year-old companies who have a footprint of 16 countries and 300 existing vendors already in place reaching out to us. And we also have million-dollar mid-sized companies and startups coming in. And we also have in the varieties wise, we have IT service companies, IT product companies, we have infrastructure and captive companies approaching us for help for their accelerated hiring needs.
So can you tell me the what is the idea behind the name Hiring Hood, and the idea that pushed you towards that?
See, honestly, we also had tossed around 300 plus different names. But one of this proposal came from one of our founding team member who suggested that something which is synonymous to a familyhood, motherhood, brotherhood and all. So why not we have something called a hiring hood?
Oh.
So that's the reason for having this name, and in the same name we wanted to convey what we are. We are into the hiring space, and with basically we would like to have that partnerships with employers, recruitment vendors and job seekers, like what else I was mentioning, familyhood, brotherhood, motherhood and all. That's the reason we wanted to, since ours is an aggregation platform bringing all these people together, that's the reason for choosing that name. And of course we also have an interesting story for our logo, which we use horse as our logo. Typically horse is known for its speed, stability, and its loyalty, trustworthiness, and normally in your old stories also typically most of the times you hear good about a horse. You never hear something when compared to fox and all. So that's what we are. We want to be loyal to our customers. We want to be trusted, and of course, we want to deliver faster. So that's the reason we have chosen that name and the logo, Hiring Hood.
And what idea pushed you for this entrepreneurship, sir?
See, I was an entrepreneur earlier as well, but this actually really pushed me to choose this problem is basically for a reason. I was working for one of the world's top 2, 3 company. They're into IT products. Uh, uh, there, I was actually working as a vendor for them, as a software service provider. It so happened that brands, which is often top 3, was really struggling to ramp up teams faster. I am one of the vendor. They have 300 plus vendors. Of course, we are one of the tier 1 vendor for them. They are also actually struggling to ramp up teams faster. I used to get midnight calls, early morning calls asking us to, can you please, Sarath, can you please help us? I need these kind of developers, these kind of testers, DevOps guys. We are struggling and there's an escalation, and I'm forced to start this project so early or deliver this so early, but I don't have these resources. Which intrigued me, a brand like this, because so many people die to work for such a brand, and there are so many vendors who are ready to work for them, but still they actually approaching me and requesting and pleading me intrigued me, because this kind of a solution doesn't exist in the market. Just to give an analogy, you can move from Jubilee Hills to Ameerpet in different vehicle forms. Either it could be city bus, normal bus, Ola, Uber, and all these places. But it so happens that it might take its own sweet time to reach the destination. But the same distance, if you have an ambulance, it is rest assured that you will reach the destination in the shortest possible time. So we would like to be that person who delivers, helps you in recruiting those resources the fastest possible way. Hiring would like to be an ambulance service or an F1 car which can make you or help you to reach the destination faster.
Okay. As you quoted the 2 distinguished examples over here, like F1 car and ambulance, I would like to frame my another question. F1 car track would be different.
Yep.
Ambulance, there are so many external factors also, because like especially in India, public cooperation is to some extent limited when compared to others.
Yeah.
So in your process of accelerated hiring, as you quoted, are you have chosen any separate track like F1, or what are the external factors that are influencing in the ambulance example?
See, definitely we just aggregate these vendors, and I say that we will be able to create acceleration. I don't think so. It happens like that. So in the entire assembly process, so what we have figured out is that there are 15 unique steps that are there to have a successful onboarding in an accelerated manner. But it so happened that among these 15 steps, 8 are digitized and 8 steps were digitized, and they have scalable solutions for it. But 7 of them doesn't have a solution exist in the market yet. So we are able to identify those problem areas where the digital solutions are not available. So that's the reason we are able to build those tools and technologies, and which actually can really make this acceleration happen. It is not like any run of the mill, we just aggregate and source and somehow you need to pick it from the lot. No, it doesn't happen like that. So we have our own specialist tools that we as a company, as a platform, have really good interesting tools that we have built. Like for example, we have a job seeker joining probability tool. Right now, no one has a clue on, after I make an offer, the only solution right now people have turned towards east. pray to God the job seeker should join my company, and they don't have any other methods of actually ensuring that or knowing that whether this job seeker will join or not. So we built an interesting solution for it, job seeker joining probability tool, which gives a sense of the probability whether the job seeker will join, and what is the percentage or likelihood of he joining, basis what reasons he will join, basis what reasons he will not join, and tweaking what parameters you can increase the probability of hiring. We came up with this tool, and of course we also have something, an AI/ML based screening and shortlisting tool, which helps you to screen resumes faster. And it also the best part is that it also caters to your biases that you already have.
Okay.
So and it's a very easy to use tool, and we have built our own custom LLMs, language learning models that we have built, which actually help you to screen people faster. Because I'll tell you an interesting problem statement around the screening and shortlisting.
Yes.
See, typically industry has a very unfair expectations on these recruiters. Okay, the reason for that is, like, for example, I am a BTech computer science guy. In IT itself, there are a lot of streams, like telecom, networking, embedded, ERM, CRP, cloud, mobility, and so many streams are there. Being in the industry for more than 25 plus years, and with a BTech computer science background, and me being a developer at one point of time, I can claim mastery in 2-3 streams.
Yes.
If you now give me a SAP profile and ask me to screen, I may not be the best guy.
Okay.
Because I don't know the nuances of that. But most of these recruiters are typically not from an engineering background. They are not even at any point of time, they would not have written not even a single line of code in their lifetime. So, but what happens is that one day one boss gives, I want the best DevOps guy today. Tomorrow I want the best full stack developer from the same guy. So all these guys typically don't know the nuances and depth of technology, understanding of technology. So, but these were given the task to find those best resumes, which is humanly it is impossible to for them to learn each and every technology and cater to all the needs. So that's where we came up with this AML based screening and shortlisting tool, where you can actually make an amateur recruiter into a very good professional recruiter, because it bases the biases that you have and the choices you make, and in the entire chain of screening and shortlisting, the machine actually learns. So what are your choices? What set of profiles you would like to prefer and do the interviews? What is that you don't want? All those the machine constantly learns, and at some point of time it will, without even any human intervention, it will, if you put thousands of resumes into the tool, it will automatically sort and gives you the best tools for you, best profiles for you. So likewise, we have ended up building lot of such smarter tools. That is exactly the reason why we were able to accelerate the entire recruitment assembly process. Is basically we have our own custom internal tools. So that's the reason we will be able to hire faster. And that's exactly the reason why others can't do it and why we could do it. Of course, if similar tools are built by others as well, they might as well do it. But these tools right now are not existent in the market. These are all more of an innovative tools that Hiring Hood has come up with.
And sir, recruitment like other platforms also, when I mentioned before, like web and IT recruiting or the overseas recruiting, lots of people are, especially the college pass outs, they are joining. But with the introduction of AI ML, do you think this will affect the employment?
See, that's an interesting question. For me personally, whatever I as a professional with 25 years of experience, say when one industry comes and disrupts, and of course there will be loss of jobs, and becomes redundant. Some people become redundant and all. But the interesting thing that I have seen in my lifetime is that all those people who are redundant, typically something or the other, either technology or new business model comes in and absorbs them. Like I'll take a classic example of when government decided to digitize all banks. Banking staff have a lot of resistance, saying that all of a sudden if an ATM comes or if you bring in a lot of computers, all our jobs becomes redundant and we don't want digitization to happen. But interestingly, it so happened that when government gave that assurance that none of the jobs will be taken out, they allowed it to happen. Now it so happened that whatever they predicted, obviously a lot of jobs got redundant. But interestingly, it so happened that banks which were offering only certain services now started increasing their portfolio of their offerings.
Centralized.
Like for example, banks started offering ULIPs, mutual funds, general insurance. They started selling demat accounts. Earlier, they are not part of the bank. Because the manpower is available, all these people were retrained, reoriented, and again were placed. In fact, they got much more better salaries and all. So if AI comes, definitely the disruption happens. Some people will definitely lose jobs, but at the same time, there will be some other business models which will come in, where a lot of adoption will be there. So I think that I don't see an immediate threat where people should be so scared about AI and all.
So when you told about your profile, you are in a very comfortable position, which is a dream and destination to so many people. When you have already reached to that apex position, what have pushed you towards entrepreneurship, towards a startup, and don't you think it was a risky after reaching to that position, starting your career again?
See, for me, I was an entrepreneur earlier, and obviously, once you are bitten by an entrepreneurial bug, it stays with you forever.
Okay.
That's one thing. And second thing is that I would strongly agree it's a risky journey. I don't say that it is a bed of roses where you will have a smooth ride. No, it's not. But for me, I get that adrenaline rush if I actually see problems and solutions. I wanted to solutionize and I wanted to make things better. And other thing is that, of course, when you come, if you say that there is a risk, the way I look at it is that typically entrepreneurs should also not blindly believe because they dreamt of a solution, blindly believe somehow the solution exists and all. They should actually list down all the risks that can happen, and you need to have a contingency, a mitigation and a contingency plan for each risk. Once you have all these listed down and you have a mitigation and a contingency, more or less you have all the answers. But in our case, for example, we did a 3 months workshops before we really started our startup. We ended up calling industry experts. They came from different parts of India, and we hosted them. We spoke about this problem. We spoke about a high-level solution and all. And they actually came and analyzed us and educated us on so many aspects of it, where we were able to come up with these risks, and these are the mitigations that we can have, and these are the contingencies that we have. So basis that, it gave us a confidence that we actually can solve this problem. And apart from that, you have to be a little, I would say, on a lighter note, you need to be stubborn, little crazy, and you also need to have the perseverance skills.
Okay.
To believe and go after and keep yourself motivated every day. But I am enjoying this journey. I really don't know about the destination. But so far, touch wood, we are on the right direction, because we just don't believe in hard work alone. We also would like to have hard work with the right direction. And the direction comes in because everyone challenges, at least in hiring hood. I get beaten every day. A lot of people challenge me and actually come up with a lot of solutions. Because of that, though it is risky, generally, I am enjoying this journey. and I would encourage a lot of people. In fact, I would say anyone who is more than 25 years of experience should, at a minimum, should definitely attempt a startup, because you should never be always on the side of consuming the services of businesses which are offering the services to you. You should also get onto the other side of the table, start offering services to the world. So because you have learned enough, so there's no point in just consuming the services and keeping your knowledge. It's better you leverage all your experience, knowledge and wisdom, come up with solutions, and at least make it a try. And for me, there is only an upside to an entrepreneurship. Either you will succeed and grow, or there is a definitely decent learning. And for me, I would say you also become little more matured and become a better person in so many aspects, because you understand either side of the story.
And what was the support you got from your family? Any?
The biggest support I got is my wife. No doubt, I'm so fortunate. I'm really blessed to have my wife Shruti. The reason for that is, see, as I was mentioning, once you are bitten by an entrepreneurial bug, it stays with you forever. I did some startup in 2007 to 2010, some non-IT startup in retail space, but it didn't work out. So post that, I was so desperate to do something or the other, and it took me 10 years to find another problem to solve. And when I am trying to solve that problem and I have some solution and some hope, I actually told my wife I would like to try this startup, but to play it safe, I would like to do both. I would like to work and as well as do this startup. She said no. Either if you believe in it so much, I would encourage you to quit, give 100% to this startup, because startups are like babies. Unless until you give 100% attention to it, they are not going to rise healthy, and they are not going to be successful. I am okay even if it is risky. I like the idea, I like your solution, and I know you as a person, so I have all the 100% confidence. What I am not okay is you doing part-time. I am okay if you do full-time, and that's the first best support I got. And apart from that, of course, my parents, and I have my 2 sisters who are there. And along with that, I am fortunate to have some friends, some mentors, and there's few people who really believed in me in the beginning itself, and they funded a few crores and few lakhs in the beginning itself.
Okay.
Because when I narrated the problem and the solution, they believed in early. So I am fortunate to have those kind of people as well. So I would say most of the credit goes to my wife, who actually not only just gave that suggestion and throughout the entire journey, she played an instrumental role, and I am able to do all this because she takes care of the things at home. And of course, I have a fantastic father-in-law who also helps me a lot.
Okay. But not everybody are fortunate like you. What would you suggest to them?
I would say that, see, it also depends on your character and your value system, right? See, typically if you constantly exhibit that you have that character and value system, and also the perseverance skills, and of course I have a choice. I'm in a decent position, I'm drawing a decent salaries. I have a choice to waste all my weekends chit-chatting or on the social media, or I can actually hang out with friends and all that. I would say all my last 15 years, I would have not even wasted a single weekend not thinking of doing something or the other.
Okay.
Every weekend I used to come up with some or the other idea. Either I call people to my home and discuss, or I generally go and meet them, toss this idea, how do you find about this? So this consistent behavior and zeal to do something actually creates that confidence for the people who are there with you. So be it your wife or your parents or friends, they always think that if you're consistent, it's not like all of a sudden you have one idea, you run it with it for some time and you give up on it.
Okay.
For me, it is like I consistently made attempts that historical data helped them to believe in me and encourage me. So if you are consistent in that, you are demonstrating that consistently, there is a higher chance that people will tend to believe, because what you do anything is what you do everything. So I believe in it so much. So they are anyhow going to reciprocate and respect that.
Sir, what made you to knock T-Hub at that particular moment?
See, I have a huge respect for T-Hub, and because the kind of innovation that happens there, the ecosystem is so conducive that lot of players wanted to get in there, get their guidance, mentorship and all. So at some point through in the social media, we came to know that T-Hub is actually starting a new cohort. And of course, they have 3 different programs that they have. One is rubrics and lab 32, and the last one, at least when we are doing, there are 3 programs. One is the T-Angel program. So these programs, typically if you just have an idea, you can get into that first program, and they'll help you to do a POC, build an MVP and take it to the market. And if it matures, and if you have already built an MVP and POC and have small traction, or you are struggling to get to a customer, the second program helps you.
Okay.
So in our case, luckily, since we are able to tap into the most difficult problem, we ended up having some customers and we ended up having some revenues as well. So then, which actually made us to qualify for the third program, which is T-Angel. Typically, that's where T-Hub actually very fantastic way they have defined a structure where how do you scale it from there. So I'm fortunate to have bumped into a good advisor who was actually assigned to us as a startup by name Mr. Chinni Rao Garu. So he was a mentor who was assigned by T-Hub as a part of this program. He guided us on so many aspects because we are not well versed in the entire startup journey, the fundraise program, different business strategies, customer acquisition techniques and all that. So he guided us, and the program in T-Hub also helped us, and because they will there's a 100 days program. I strongly encourage a lot of founders, if they are not from typical business background and all, get into this programs. It will actually give definitely a structure to your thoughts. How do you present yourself, and basically how do you can actually get funding and all that. What is the expectations on the other side, being an investors. All that awareness is created by T-Hub, and obviously in our case also, as I was mentioning, when we applied, around 675 startups applied, and they took top 2%, and we are in the top 13. They liked our story, the kind of team that we have, our solution, and that's how we got an opportunity.
And we heard that your company is going to be a $1 million startup very soon.
Yeah.
How did it reach up to that level very soon?
See, the thing is that I would say it has multiple dimensions. One thing is that of course the problem is itself is interesting for everyone. And typically, since we are all coming from an engineering and solutioning background, and also of course the kind of team that we have, with all this combination, and of course I also have a decent 25 years of experience in this IT industry, we are able to talk about the facts and figures on the table. So how deep is this problem with numbers, and what is that what is the traction that we could generate till now, and what are the problems that we are facing now, and then at one point we ended up having revenue and customers, but the solution was not scalable. So we did an extensive research. In fact, we studied around 40 to 50 different books and a lot of material, and we did a lot of research on how do you build scalable marketplaces, because marketplaces are much different from the traditional way of building business. So, basis that we actually came up with something called atomic marketplaces, which is basically we consciously in a short term we would like to squeeze in the opportunity and choose a specific technology, like for example I can say business intelligence. Business intelligence, if I were where I would like to build an exclusive marketplace for business intelligence, where I would like to bring in maybe 100 plus employers who are hiring in business intelligence on one side, that is on the demand side. On the supply side, I might actually aggregate 1,000, 2,000 job seekers who are looking for a job in this BI space.
Okay.
So that way what happens is that we increase the probability of hiring on either side. So this is the solution that we came up with, and we actually presented our case to the investors, saying that we bumped into a good problem, and we tried a solution, and because we took a pivot, and now that pivot didn't work and it ended up having scaling issues. Now we did a research and came up with this solution, and because of this solution, then we will be able to scale, and we can actually launch multiple such atomic marketplaces, and across which can have a scope to scale horizontally and vertically. When I say horizontally, into IT, BFSI, e-commerce, manufacturing and all this. When I say vertically, it can be across geographies, Europe, Australia, US, Canada and all these places we can scale. And this is the solution, we believe in it, and that's the story that we told our investors, and they liked it. We only talked about the facts and figures and all our solution approach, and we are strong in lean product management principles. We believe in it so much, and they liked our rational approach. We didn't try to forcefully bake in some buzzwords and somehow forcefully cooked in something, somehow it appeals good. So we spoke about, at least for us, we are sometimes we are intimidatingly honest, and we spoke about these facts and figures, which actually I believe that made them believe that it's worth investing in this team, this startup, this solution and all. That's what I would believe that.
And what are the areas of expansion that you are going through now?
So one thing is that when as a product or a solution wise, we want to build these atomic marketplaces, and of course once we are created enough traction on these marketplaces, obviously we would like to expand it to US and Canada markets, where we see this solution is definitely needed there.
Okay.
And they are ready to embrace any innovation there. So we would like to expand, and of course if you are able to get into a scalable solution, in India also we have an opportunity to expand horizontally. Right now our forte is in IT, so we would like to expand in IT, and once we exhaust this space, we have an opportunity to get into BFSI, e-commerce, retail, manufacturing and all these spaces, where we might end up hiring some good engineering leaders who can actually guide us and lead us in that way. So that's how we would like to plan our expansions.
Yeah, all the best. And finally, your words on this program and your suggestions to the viewers, especially the young entrepreneurs.
See, I was so touched with the kind of gesture that we had from T-Hub, where they proactively collaborated with the most happening news channels like CVR, and CVR English is actually I think one of the top news broadcast channel that everyone would like to get into. So they are able to strike this deal where without any cost for the startups, we were given an opportunity to represent ourselves put our brand and the interesting problem and solution innovation that we are trying to do. And the best part is that CVR English channel embracing this thought of instead of actually making it a completely a commercial deal, why don't we also be part of this contribution and encouragement to these startups, came forward and gave this opportunity for us. I'm so honored and thankful to both T-Hub and CVR for basically hosting us and helping us in spreading our platform and the solution, interesting innovative solutions that we are building. Thank you so much, Sandeep.
Thank you very much, sir, and I sincerely wish that your company will become very soon from $1 to $1 billion company.
Yeah, let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We are very fortunate to have you. That's about the journey of Mr. Sarath Babu. Let's catch up with another entrepreneur. Stay tuned to CVR English.